Hola, soy Alejandro Sahuquillo y estoy aquí para que triunfes con el gran Sandy Munro. Sandy, thank you very much for accepting this interview. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm very well. Actually, Alejandro, we have something in common. My real name is Alexander, and Spanish Alejandro. So there you are.
Oh, so we have Alejandro and Alejandro. Alejandro Munro and Alejandro Sahuquillo.
That's right. That's right.
Before we start, I wanted to thank you, not only you, but also Corey, that he was very kind sending me the first email, then Kim, then Zach, all your team. I know that you have great guys working with you, at least the three ones that I have been in contact. They have been extremely kind, so thank you very much to them.
Okay, no, that's good. But don't tell them because they'll get a big head and ask for a raise. I don't want to do that.
Don't worry. As I'm going to dub it in Spanish, I hope that they don't speak any Spanish. I wanted to start the interview by showing you something that I bought this morning, because I know that you're really good at knowing how good products are. So I wanted to show you something, and you can tell me if I did a good purchase or not so good. Can you see? I'm sharing the
Model S Plaid. Wow, very good.
No, but Model S Plaid Munro Life sticker.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, I saw the 13. I didn't see the $13. I just saw what I wanted to see. Yeah, that's an excellent purchase. Yes. Thank you so much for supporting us on our quest to buy a Model S Plaid. Yes, thank you.
I wanted to tell you all the subscribers, de nada, Sandy, all the subscribers, all the Spanish subscribers, that please buy the sticker of Sandy, because if you buy it, he will be able to turn down the fastest car ever, the Model S Plaid, and it will be a pleasure to see it. How is it going, by the way, the race? Because I saw like you were like 95,000 and you have to arrive to 130,000, something like this.
Yeah, we're actually closer than 95,000. I'm not sure exactly where we are, but we have a couple of people that are saying that they want to maybe pay for the rest of the car just so we can get it going. But we haven't received the car yet. Our delivery date has vanished, so we're waiting. We don't know when it's going to show up. But believe me, we'll accept any $13 bumper sticker orders for sure. We'll be sending those out as fast as they come in. Yeah. So tell your listeners, thank you so much.
Yes, and I will add it in the review, in the description of this video, and also congratulations, because as far as I know, you are now a company debt free. And also you have more than 200,000 subscribers. Is it right?
Yes, that's correct. We had a very, very good year in 2020. And we eradicated all of the debt that we had accumulated in the beginning of the year, because in essence, I kept all the people, but our customers all left. So we had to get brand new customers, all brand new customers. We virtually have maybe I can think of 3 customers that we had, smaller customers that we had, but all the big ones are gone. All of them, COVID, they decided to do no product development, so they all walked away. So it doesn't take long to gobble up millions of dollars when you've got a lot of people that are getting paid and no work or money coming in. So it was a very, very exciting first and second quarter in 2020. And by the time we got to year end in 2020, we could see that there was light at the end of the tunnel. And then this year has been phenomenally good. So we're very happy. We're doing lots of new product development. Again, not with our old customers. We have all new customers. So yeah, it's been very, very good. A real ride, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Congratulations. I wanted to tell you a tale, Sandy, that I don't know if you know, that once upon a time, many centuries ago, there was an emperor in China that he was shut down in his royal chamber and nobody had ever seen him. So they decided to say, okay, how big is the emperor's nose? There was this question in the kingdom.
Yeah.
So do you know what was the solution? Do you know what was the solution? They decided to go throughout the whole China and ask each and every Chinese citizen and ask them, how big is the nose of the emperor? So they wrote down the answer, and then they made the average, and they said, okay, we have the nose. The nose is the average of all the citizens that they have said. This I'm telling you because Richard Feynman, your Nobel Prize physics, he says this, and this is really connected with all the fad of electric vehicles, that everybody knows how they're doing, which are better, Teslas and everything. And you are the guy that has opened the door of the emperors, has seen, not only have seen the nose, but you have measured and you have turn it, rip it apart, turn down the nose. So thank you very much, because you give light in this world of the EVs, and thank you. And what I wanted to ask you, as I know that you not only rip apart noses, but also cars, I know that you have lately turned down the Moki, and you have said you have done a classification of batteries. And also you made a classification of motors in the 2019 Model 3. So I wanted to ask you just to say how many years Tesla is ahead in this in each of these sections. You can say plus or minus if they're beside, okay?
Okay, all right.
How many years Tesla is ahead in motors
of
the competition?
Three or four.
Three. In batteries?
Batteries, 6 years, maybe 7.
If a full self-driving chip or autopilot chip?
No, their chips in our software are probably 10 years ahead. The full self-driving, I think that Elon Musk is going to probably surprise the planet, and before year end, he'll say, I've got it. I don't know how, but like measuring all the emperors or all the noses or whatever and saying there's a general average. I think that Tesla likes to make surprises, and it wouldn't surprise me if they came out with full self-driving before year end. Everybody else is saying 4 to 6 years. So
4 to 6 years. Thermal management system.
Their thermal management system is the best on the planet, and I think it's going to take at least another production line, so that would be at least 4 years ahead of everyone else.
4 years. Wiring? That you said that they could improve,
right?
They're
going to split that into two. As far as low voltage wiring, they're the same. There's no advantage. High voltage wiring and the system that they've used, that's probably another 4 years ahead of everybody else.
The underbody now with the rear mirror casting? 10
years. It'll take 10 years for no one's going to be jumping into that.
And their operating system, like the regular operating system?
It's hard to separate operating systems because Tesla does a lot of incorporate. They bring several systems and put them into one. No one else has that at all. Zero people have that. So I guess I would say it's probably around 5 years. Yeah, 5 years.
Is there any part of the EVs, like the modern EVs, that Tesla is besides the competition, apart from the panel gaps that we already know that you've said it like several times? But
their panel gaps have caught up. If you're looking for things that Tesla has not done well or Tesla could improve on, there are some things that we would suggest. Like one would be when we tore the Ford apart. I just recently did a video on it. I like the idea of using planetary gears as opposed to spur gears. And if you use planetary gears, you get a quieter ride. You don't get that whine. So that would be one thing that I would suggest that Tesla might want to do. The other is on their electric motor. They use a wound motor, and I would recommend a hairpin style motor. So, and that's nothing to do with performance or anything. That has only to do with the fact that they can automate a hairpin motor as opposed to, and these are permanent magnet motors. I did have a suggestion before. I suggested that they get rid of the copper in their induction motors, and they did. They went with aluminum. So, so those are the things that I would suggest are good. Oh, and then the last one, the one that I'm the most high on, and that's to go away from radar, LiDAR, or any other DAR for that matter, and move toward FLIR, forward-looking infrared. That's the best way, as far as I'm concerned, to identify people and objects in the rain or the snow or fog, whatever. FLIR works everywhere. We use that on the Department of Defense stuff that we work on. It works phenomenally well. So those are the things that I would recommend.
When I was investigating, because I follow you and I'm super pumped every time that you do a video, especially Tesla's video, I wanted to ask you one question that I thought nobody had asked you, but I saw like last year, Gali Russell from Hyperchange, hello Gali, he asked you about Tesla stock, and you said that you own some Tesla stock. Do you still own them?
No, actually, when I was talking to Gali, I did own stock, and I was buying and selling it, and I made a tremendous amount of money. I went from $20,000 to $170,000, and that buying and selling, because every time I saw the stock go up a lot, I knew that the short sellers would kind of try and drag it down. So I'd buy it, then the short sellers would drag it down, I'd buy it back in, and then it just kept going up and down. I kept making a lot of money. Then I found out that if I give interviews, you're not allowed to own stock. So I wound up having to sell it. So I sold the stock that I had and called it a day. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, that's two or three cars that I'd normally buy, or a house. I mean, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I'm happy. But I can't. I don't own any stock. As a matter of fact, I own no stock in anything because I've gone completely to cash, even in my retirement plan.
And you said, I think you said to Gali that before buying Tesla stock, you had never ever bought one company single stock. Is it right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And why did you decide to do an exception in your financial and buy Tesla stock?
When we tore apart the Model 3, and we got past the ugly parts, like the doors didn't fit and the paint was terrible, on and on and on. Once I got past that and started looking at the technology, and we know where everyone is. I mean, you only see a small fraction of the cars that we actually tear apart because people pay us quite a bit of money to tear a car apart, assess it, analyze it, cost it, and then come up with redesigns. So that basically allows us to know exactly what's inside of every vehicle that's in the marketplace if we want, or at least the most advanced vehicles. And looking at what Tesla had versus everyone else, to me, this was a no-brainer. I don't care. Anybody can fix a panel. Anybody can fix paint. Anybody can make gaps in a car better. Nobody can make circuit boards like what Tesla did. Nobody can produce electric motors like they do. I mean, they're light years ahead of everyone. Well, at least a dozen years ahead of everyone. So, to me, as an engineer, it was any engineer that looks at a Tesla knows that it's far and away the best designs on the planet.
You've spoken of different parts of Tesla's cars. and it's really nice to see your videos because we get to learn a lot about engineering, but also it's very nice because you get really excited, both positively and negatively. It's very nice that you said the things that you didn't like about Tesla, about all the things that blew your mind positively, like the chipboard that you're saying, the octovalve, the super bottle, the wiring system, with the seats. Which one would you say, okay, this one was the one that I said, wow, the most?
Well, I would say that the thing that really blew my mind the most, and it still does, is their circuit board designs. They are, without a question of a doubt, elegant. They're very complicated, but they're simple in construction. Many things are combined into one board. They take full advantage of multifunctional thinking. It's very difficult for me to get beyond the electronics and the simplicity of their electronics. That's probably number one. Close on the heels would be the cooling, the octovalve, the cooling system, and that's for basically a different reason. I mean, I could sit around if I had enough time and maybe design something that would be similar to it. But when I look at how they, like the depth that you have to go into in order to make that happen, I'd have to know almost everything else about the car. So their systems engineering people, I don't know how they work it there at Tesla, but their systems engineering people are obviously the same guys that are connected to the electric motor, because the motor, in essence, has to have, it has the capability for heating a car. I don't know if you knew that. You stall the motor and it creates heat. So, but all these different systems have peculiar or particular needs and wants. In order to make the octovalve system work, you have to have communication extraordinaire. You can't possibly do this in isolation. And so the second thing that I would say is the electronics designs first, but right after that is the environmental control systems, and the reason for that is because of the teamwork they must have in that company in order to generate an elegant small design that basically suits the purpose of everybody and everybody that's associated with a car. So that conductivity for something that has to go everywhere in a car, it's like what you're looking at there is the system that runs the whole car. Without that, nothing else is going to go. I don't care how good your battery is or your motor or anything else. Your system, if that thing fails, everything goes down. It's like your heart and your and the system that runs your body, that runs the fluid that gets to your brain or your elbow. Everything has to be fed, and your heart is the thing that does it. So, to me, the heating and cooling system is the number one.
After the chipboard,
the number one best team effort I've ever seen. Period. Yeah.
Great. And this team is thank you to one man that I wanted to ask you about your visit to Elon Musk in Boca Chica a few months ago. You obviously you had an idea of Elon Musk. You had some chats in the Third Row podcast. But that day, after visiting a SpaceX, then having a one-on-one meeting, and then go to the design meeting with him, what changed in your mind about Elon Musk that you had before that day and after that day?
I didn't really have any preconceived notions about Elon Musk. I'd heard lots of stories, and I heard that he can be quite caustic. And I knew he's the richest guy on the planet. And I know that he's fairly smart. I knew a little bit about his background. I know he came from South Africa and then went to Canada and then went to the States. And he's got quite a number of different citizenships. He's collecting them, I guess. Anyway, I knew that sort of stuff, but I didn't really have a preconceived notion about him. When I got there and I got the chance to actually talk to him and meet him, very down to earth kind of guy. He hasn't got a swelled head. In many cases, when I do work with executives at large corporations, they have a bunch of people that are continuously telling them how smart they are and how good they are and nice Thai boss and all this other stuff. He's not like that at all. He came in, he sat down, he said, "Hi, thanks for coming. Would you like some water? Would you like something to eat? Would you like this?" I mean, it was like going to a neighbor's house. And when I first came into the room, then he said, "I'd like to ask you a couple of questions," and he did. And then, "So you got any questions for me?" And I asked him a couple of things, and he said, I can't remember the exact thing, but he said, "We have a lot in common." That was it. And then we started the filming and whatnot. So we went through the filming. We cut 5 minutes out of the filming for an hour or an hour and a bit. We took 5 minutes out. And the 5 minutes was me. I had it cut out because I got really upset about a picture that was taken by one of the big magazines. I think it was, I don't want to guess, but anyways, one of the big magazines.
Magazine.
And it was a picture of Mary Barra, and it's the worst picture ever. And he stuck it on the front cover for effect, I'm sure. To me, that just drove me nuts. And somehow we got onto that. And I think it was because we were talking about how the press really doesn't care much for Elon Musk. And I said, "I don't think the press cares for anybody." And then I went to give this example, and the next thing I'm on a tear. Now I don't know Mary Barr at all, but I do know what's polite and what's humane, and that was neither. And so I have a lot of problems with some of the big press when they decide to do their thing, I guess. That's the only 5 minutes that came out. When we asked Elon, "Is there anything you want to cut?" "Nope. Do whatever you want." "No, I don't need to see it. It's fine."
And I wanted to ask you some other thing. You were also in the design meeting, and I don't know if you know that there's a book that was published a few months ago from Eric Berger called Liftoff, from the first Falcon 1 rocket. So they tell the story right from the beginning until the first Falcon 1 is shot. And they say something interesting, and I know that you've been working with the rockets as well, that at some point NASA realized that it was impossible or nearly impossible to do a project that it would be faster, better, and cheaper. So they had to choose among 2 out of 3. So if a new product or a new project was faster and cheaper, it would be slower. But they say that Elon Musk always aims for faster, cheaper, and better products, and he usually delivers. How do you think he's able to do that? Because you speak a lot about the speed of thought that Tesla is able to change, but they change really, really fast with incredible products and many times cheaper, as you show in your reviews.
The reason for that is because he has no MBAs. He has very little in the way of MBAs to get in his way. You've heard him talk about it. I talk about it. Everyone who's watched companies go out of business have talked about it. The MBA philosophy is the fastest way to take a good company and send it down the primrose path. No MBA creates a wonderful new company. None. They're always entrepreneurs. They're also, if you look around at any of the great things that you're using right now, like light bulbs, your computer, this TV, they weren't developed, they weren't created by MBAs. MBAs can manipulate, but they cannot create. And when you want to create, you have to get as far away from anyone that's from Harvard as you possibly can, because they'll get in the way and they'll tell you things like, oh, no, we have to, no, that's good enough. Don't stop right there. And then, can we reuse this? Regardless of its weight, regardless of its shape, regardless of its functionality, it means nothing to these people. All they want to do is stay put so they can get that money. Elon Musk does not think like that. He is an engineer's engineer. He thinks on first principles. And when I went through his facility versus what I would see if I went to one of the other companies that make rocket ships and things like that, the entire product is 100% different. Welded stainless steel construction, as opposed to this like building a rocket ship similar to what you'd build an airplane with rivets and things like that. They don't do that. Theirs is all welded together. The design of the rocket is similar in shape to everybody else, and that's where the similarities end. After that, theirs is entirely different. Why? Because they're not afraid to change materials and to change the paradigm that currently rocket ship manufacturers have. They decided to go beyond what was done in the 60s and 70s. And that's what makes them different. They're not interested in reusing old technology or old ways of doing business or old drawings that were done by someone else. And no one knows how there's a lot of times when we do a redesign of a product and we'll ask, well, what does that function, what does that part, what function does that part have? They don't know. It's always been there. We've always done it that way. And Elon Musk is not in that. He doesn't do that. He wants things that don't do. For instance, we worked with an outboard motor company. They brought me in and we were working on something else. And they said, we'd like your opinion on this new CNC machine we're going to be buying. Okay, so a CNC machine is just basically a big milling machine that will download D and CNC. It'll download CAD data. It'll figure out what the cutter path is, and then it will machine that part, and it'll be very, very accurate. And they were looking at several different units, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but let's say around $1 million. It was lower than that, but let's say $1 million for talking. And I said, oh, okay, well, what does this part do? Oh, it's very sophisticated, and it has very high tolerances, and we have to do this, that, and the next thing. And I said, that's not the question I asked. What does it do? And no one had an answer. So we went out on the floor, and I walked over and I looked at it, and I said, geez, this looks like it's for a distributor. And everybody got real quiet because there is no distributor on anything anymore. Everybody uses electronic ignition. No one uses a distributor. So they all stood there and they're looking at it, and what do you call it? The operator and the engineer came over and said, "Look, we've got to have this, and the tolerances and blah blah blah. That's why we need this machine." And I picked up. They had the head sitting there, and I picked it up, and I walked over to a bandsaw, and I cut it off around the edge of where that component was. And I put it on a scale that they had there. And I said, based on just the fact that I'm looking at the weight, you're looking at $1.50. Oh no, it's that you can't take that off. And you know what? We had another meeting and found out, yes, you could take it off. And it wasn't going to affect anything. And here's the thing. The operator of the old machine and the engineer that wanted to buy the new machine were furious because that was all they had in the whole world, and I had just cut it off. And now what are they supposed to do? How are we supposed to live? You cut off
You cut off a part of ourselves.
But it should have been cut off 10 years before that. It was just sitting there, a big lump of nothing. And by the way, it's sitting in the back. The one that I cut apart, everything, it's sitting in the back of our shop. It's still there. Because some people say, I can't believe that. So we have one to show them.
But by the way, speaking about your shop, you've said several times that you have had for 15 years mega casting rear parts of the of the car, like the new way Tesla is assembling its cars. Now that Tesla is doing the rear part and also the front part, they've said in the last earnings calls, they said that they have already tried it. Do they pay more attention, the executives that they passed for 15 years, and they ask you, Sandy, which innovation should I do or not?
The people who are asking about the innovation of going to mega castings are new companies. All new companies are very interested in that type of technique or technology. The old ones are happy to stamp and weld. They are not going to move in that direction. And the reason for that is because they have a tremendous amount of sunk costs. And what would they do with all the extra space that would be in the, because with that, you can chop 1/3 out of the body shop. 1/3 of the space in the body shop disappears by going to the mega castings.
It's incredible.
And that's after I take into account that I've got to have these great big giant casting machines dropped into place. But still, I can cut off 1/3 of the body shop.
And I know that you've said that you won't see in your lifetime, because it's really, really hard to do one piece like the front, the rear, and the structural battery pack, to do it just in one piece. You said like it's impossible to do it like in a few years.
I can't.
But if it was possible, let's say like we have a magic machine and it was possible, would it be like much better in terms of cost, efficiency, strength, time, space?
Yes, it would.
Because Tesla, I don't know if you know, I mean, I'm sure you know, has a patent of a unibody that they published a few years ago.
Yeah, I saw that. So in order to do that, based on the technology as it is right now, you'd need something that was around, a press that would be around, I would say somewhere between 22 and 26,000 tons of pressure. And you would need to fill that, you'd need I can't even think about how big the hopper and whatnot would be, just to heat this stuff, heat the aluminum up to the right temperature and then push it through. And you'd also have to have heating systems inside the molds that would be tremendous in order to make that work. And I don't know of anybody who could currently produce a product like that.
But let's say like some aliens came and they brought some alien technology, and it was possible, would it be such a big advantage?
Yes,
or
it'd be a huge advantage. Anytime you can get to one piece, it's a big advantage. It's a big advantage because all of your quality problems go away, or most of them. Once you've tuned in the machine to basically make a perfect part, you turn it on and away it goes. It's like a Xerox machine pushing out documents. As long as you feed it with ink and paper, it'll just keep pushing out a pretty good product. That's kind of what would happen if you could do that. And that's why Tesla has moved in a direction of having a single casting for the rear and a single casting for the front. So, and then the battery box as well. So we're looking at a great idea whose time has come. If the aliens show up with a machine that'll shoot a product out, the whole floor pan, we call that the lower body. If somebody could come up with it, I'd buy one and start pushing product out the door. Yeah, exactly.
With the stickers, you can buy it.
Maybe at $13 each.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
with one sticker.
It might take a while. Yeah.
Maybe they are poor. Sandy, you are a Cybertruck a holder, like reservation holder. And I wanted to ask you, you've spoken a lot about, okay, the mega casting pieces, and you've also talked a lot about how efficient it will be to build the exoskeleton. Once the Cybertruck is ramped up, Tesla will have more cost saving out of like the 3 mega casting pieces or from the origami steeling process, stainless steel process.
So somebody asked me about that. They asked me how much of a difference there'd be. And my guess is, and it's only a guess because I don't know everything, but I'm going to assume that the exoskeleton is one piece and they're going to do what they said they're going to do. So I said that 60% of the floor space that you'd normally need would disappear. And I said that, and later on I thought, well, wait a minute, is it 60% or is it 70%? I'm not sure. So when I get some time off, if I get a vacation, I'm going to lay out the factory, and I will guess at, I won't guess. I do this kind of stuff for a living, and I will put it together and figure out whether or not it's 60 or 70%. One thing I am hoping for one day is to get a chance to do a plant tour of that facility. I'd love to see what's inside. I'd like to see how they did it. But I don't get invited to too many factories anymore simply because I'm a really critical guy. I was nominated for a lot of awards when I was at Ford for designing assembly plants and things like that. And I actually did win it, or was the company that I worked as chief engineer. They did win an award for a barrel handling system that we designed. On and on and on. I kind of know how to put stuff together. And we have 2 or 3 other guys here that have been in the same situation. So lately, not too many people have wanted us to be in their plants. And the reason for that is because we're too critical. They don't want to know about what's wrong. They want to hear, hey, nice tie, boss. Hey, you did a great job, boss. You're so smart, boss. That's what they really want to hear.
But by the way, on the one-on-one interview to Elon Musk, you made the suggestion that after speaking about the mega casting pieces, you said, okay, and if the top body you made it out of carbon fiber, like the i3 BMW i3, it would be great. And he started speaking about some thermal expansion things, but you said, no, but I have seen that they were able to do it. Do you know if they are considering, or you don't have any idea?
No, he doesn't like carbon fiber so much. Not for that particular vehicle. Now, when I was talking to him about carbon fiber and whatnot, it was obvious he wanted to do what he wanted to do. He likes the idea of stainless steel. So I thought about that, and so here's my thought. I go hunting. I hunt deer and things like that. So fairly big game. That means that a lot of times you've got people with relatively large bullets. And if you're in a normal car, or if you're not hiding behind a tree, that bullet doesn't care whether it's a deer or you. And then I started thinking, how many times have I seen, people trip and the gun went off or something like that? They weren't. There's a difference between a hunter and a shooter. Okay, hunters, they obey all the rules, and like for instance, when I load up my gun, I have 2 bullets in it. That's it. It'll hold 8 or something like that, but I only have 2 bullets. One is to shoot the deer or whatever that I'm going to look at. 2 is if a second one happens to walk out of the bush. I don't need a magazine the size of a machine gun to pop a deer, because I go and practice and stuff like that. A shooter, that's somebody who bought a brand new outfit to wear, and he's got a brand new gun, and he hasn't really shot it a whole lot, and he forgot to put the safety on, and on and on and on, or he's carrying it with his finger in the trigger or something stupid. So I always worry about shooters. And so I thought, what do I want? Do I want carbon fiber, or would I rather have
yes,
a few mils of stainless steel? So I've abandoned ship on the stainless steel.
And speaking about the carbon fiber, carbon fiber.
Yeah.
There's one place that Elon Musk really likes carbon fiber, and it's in the new motor of the Model S Plaid, the carbon rotor sleeves. Can you explain a little bit why that is such a big deal? And he said, like, nobody has been able to do it, and thanks to that, we have achieved 20,000 RPM and so on.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason, 20,000 RPM. When you get up to that kind of speed, things want to explode, and the carbon fiber is there to hold everything together. That's basically what you're doing. So as you spin that fast and the materials inside the rotor want to expand, if the gap gets too small or worse, they actually hit the stator, the motor is going to explode. So by putting in the carbon fiber sleeves, that's going to hold the motor together, and it'll ensure the fact that you're not going to have the rotor touch the stator or get too close to the stator and blow up. Yeah.
When you went to visit Elon Musk, you told him that, look, Elon, I have flown C-17, I have driven all kinds of cars, but when I went with the Silicon Owner Club Model 3 full self-driving beta, I was blown away. How was your feeling, like, when you saw for the first time how the full self-driving was behaving?
Okay, so I've been in other vehicles that had allegedly had full self-driving. They were maybe alpha or beta vehicles, and they worked fine as long as they only made right turns, and there wasn't too many things to confuse the software, to confuse the sensors and software. So I got in the car and I had an expectation. Okay, so I didn't have an expectation on Elon Musk, but I had an expectation of what this was going to do. And the first thing it did was it drove itself out of the parking lot, and that's a big surprise. Nobody else I saw did that. Then it got onto the street, onto a street, and the street had I think it was either 4 or 6 lanes. And it scooted over and made a left-hand turn. That was a big surprise. Left-hand turns are really tough for self-driving vehicles. It made the turn in between 2 boulevards, like there was an island in the center, and it made the turn. And then the place that I had picked on the map, they said pick a spot, and I looked at the map, and they had a new housing development with all these stupid twisting, like cul-de-sacs and all kinds of stuff. And so I said, I'm going to pick that. I went boom, and I touched the screen, and that's when we took off, right? It thought about it for a second, and away it went. So we get out, we make a left-hand turn. Now I'm impressed. Then we go down a little bit. Now we got to get on the expressway. And there was 2 lanes for turning left. This one was full. This one was empty. And it went right around all the other ones and got into the outside lane. And I'm going, whoa, I never saw that before. And then now it has to basically cut in front of everybody else, but it knows it's got the guts to do it because it's a Model S, and these other things beside us are, who knows, old Hondas or something. And the light turned like it was an arrow light. The arrow came on, and we went around everybody and onto the on-ramp and onto the expressway, and like that fast. This car drives as aggressively as Corey and I do. Both of us raced at one time. This car was phenomenal. Then it traces all the way over, and some of the streets that it said were on the map because they use Google Maps or something like that. Some of those roads weren't there, and this thing knew. So it went around and it parked where it was supposed to, but it's just a vacant lot. There's no house there yet. That was impressive. Then I said, "Oh, it's pretty good. Let's go home." And so you probably know, you just press the little button and you give it a command. And he pressed the button. He said, "Back to point of origin," or something like that. Car takes off, spins around, does everything in reverse, and nothing. The guy's got his hands off the wheel, and every once in a while he touches the wheel, but for the most part, it went right back. Same aggressive driving. Everything about it was phenomenal. I loved it.
And did you see a big change? Because in January, you tested for the first time the full self-driving 8.1, I think. And then a few weeks ago, you went with Dirty Tesla with Chris to test the full self-driving 9.0 just vision. Did you see a big difference, or it was pretty much the same?
No, I saw a big difference. And one of the things that I wasn't allowed to do or couldn't do when I was in Fremont was to see what happens when it's not a 90-degree left-hand or right-hand turn. So we have some of those around here. And so what I did was, he said, "Where do you want to go?" And the map comes up, and I see here's a 60-degree over here, and there's a 60-degree over there. Duke, I want to go right there. And there's only one way to make it. So we left the parking lot and we made a left-hand 60-degree turn. So you're going up, and now you've got it's not like a 90, right? You got to go up and around and down. So you're going over 90, and at first you got in there, and there's no real good lines there. It's an older subdivision that we went into. There was no real good lines, and it hesitated for a second, figured it out, and boom, away it went. Then we got down into the road a little bit. We had to make that second 60-degree turn, and that one is a right-hand turn. It also hesitated for a second, and then it went to where it needed to go to. Then it went through some mumbo jumbo tortured path to get to this thing. Got there, done, same deal, home, and we went right back. So it was a refinement over the other one. And the one thing I did notice was that the car had been set for, I think it was like 8 miles over the limit, and it basically traveled continuously 8 miles an hour over the limit. So,
and also the visualization is new. Sandy, at the beginning, you said Tesla, when I asked you about the years, you said Tesla is about 6 years ahead in battery. In a few months, we will start seeing the new battery packs of Tesla. Of all that we have seen in Battery Day and later what has been unveiled, for you, which is the top innovation? Because there was so much in Battery Day, with the tablets, with the 4680, with the factory, with the lithium, with the single crystal anode, with the new cathodes. What are the 2 or 3 top innovations from Battery Day from Tesla?
Well, the biggest one was taking a 4680 and making it work. We had worked with other battery companies on trying to produce a 5070 battery, but we couldn't make it work because of the electrolyte. So the Tesla people surprised me by saying that they could make a 4680, which is even harder to get the electrolyte down to the bottom. I didn't know how they did that. So I just recently found out that it's a small Canadian company that sold the 3 patents at $1 each, at $1 each to Tesla, and that's how they made it work. And I that totally blew me away. Like, I didn't know how they did it. We had conversations in here, a lot of discussion of how do you get the electrolyte down? How did they do it? How did they make that work? It's easy to put in the jelly roll. What happened? How did they do it? And now we find out that it's some little dinky Canada company or someplace up in Toronto. I'm telling you, Spring Power it's called. But I'm telling you, I've never, ever seen a big company ever, under any circumstance, go and seek out a small company to help them out with a technology. So that was the big thing for me. The rest of the stuff, the tabless battery, I've seen other versions of that didn't really do. The only thing I wanted to know is, how are they actually putting this thing together? How do they make this 4680? How do they get the electrolyte to work and everything? And that to me was everything. I've seen battery production before. I've seen everything else before. No big wow. But the electrolyte and making it work, that was the key element. And I'll tell you flat, LG, Samsung, Panasonic, Qatar, any of the battery, BYD, it doesn't matter who it is, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, US, nobody could figure that out. And they did. And so a little dinky company came up with that stuff. And that's another thing that Tesla's got on their side. They will listen to pretty much anybody that comes in the door. And if you, again, getting back to how do you run your company, if you're an MBA, you're not going to let those clowns in. That's a waste of time. We could be working on our next promotion as opposed to listening to some dinky company with some kind of good idea. Yeah, that's one of the big things. Their culture is vastly different than any other company I've been involved with ever. Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, if 3 days ago in the earnings call, they've said that due to the less availability of nickel than iron, they're shifting 2/3 of their battery production to iron phosphate batteries and 1/3 to nickel to the nickel manganese. Okay, they didn't say nickel manganese, but the nickel batteries. Do you think that's a good strategy? Especially, they said, okay, we will use the iron for the stationary batteries and the not sporty vehicles, and we will use the 1/3 for like the Cybertruck, semis, roadsters, and the high-end vehicles.
That's a good business decision. That hasn't got anything to do with the availability of nickel. There is the biggest nickel mine on the planet is in Sudbury, Ontario. The biggest on the planet, okay? And that's less than 1,000 miles away from where they're manufacturing batteries. That is not a big deal. But nickel is way more expensive. So just for using nickel where it's needed in automobile batteries, that's a good idea. Automobiles and trucks and whatnot, that's a good idea. Using it for power walls or something, not such a good. I don't know why I would do that. I'm never going to see the cycling. I'm never going to drain the power unless there's a huge situation where you're going to get 10 days, let's say, with no additive electricity. There's no real reason to make a complete drain in a power wall system. I never understood why they had nickel in it anyways, right? Except for the fact that they were cranking them out. So I think it's a good business decision to move away from nickel in those types of batteries and stay with nickel inside of a car, because cycling is a big deal. That's where you need the nickel. Yeah.
Great. Okay, I don't know if I have so many more questions. Okay, I have so many, but I know that you're busy.
Yeah.
Before we end up the interview, I want to play a game, and I'm going to say just one word really fast, or one word or one concept, and you have to answer me the first word that pops to your mind. Okay, but really, really fast. Are you ready, Mr. Sandy Munro?
All right. Okay, I'll do my best.
Elon Musk.
Great guy.
We could.
2 words.
Tesla.
Number 1. 2
Cybertruck.
words. Sorry.
Yes, still 2
Cybertruck.
words.
On order.
Model 3, still 2 words. 1 word, come on, Sandy. Model 3.
Second.
4680.
First.
ID4.
I have to use 3 words. Better luck next time.
Model Y.
1. First.
Moki.
Second. Third. Sorry, third.
Rear front mega casting pieces.
Astounding.
Financial analyst.
Financial analyst. I don't pay attention to those guys. Yeah.
One word.
BS. I don't know. 2
Okay,
letters. BS. Yeah.
Starship.
Fabulous.
Quantum space.
Quantum space. Good. Good. I guess. Yeah.
MBA.
Bad.
BYD.
Good. Good company. Yeah.
Octovalve.
Excellent.
Polestar.
Good. Very good.
Super Bottle.
Okay.
Structured battery pack.
Excellent.
SpaceX.
Excellent.
And the last one, NEO.
Neo. I can't comment on that one.
Okay,
That's
so
one of the ones I can't talk about. Yeah.
So we will leave it for today. Thank you very much, Sandy. I have a tradition in my channel that all my videos end up saying the same sentence, that is, hola, soy Alejandro Sahuquillo y estoy aquí para que triunfes. But each time that I do an interview, I ask the interviewee to say it. So it's hola, it means, hi, I'm Sandy Munro, and I'm here for you to succeed. So it's hola, soy Sandy Munro y estoy aquí para que triunfes.
Good luck. Hola, it's Sandy Munro, and good luck.
Y estoy
I'll
aquí
never
para
remember that stuff.
Y estoy aquí para que triunfes.
Dios, Tia, Alejandres, is that close?
Para que triunfes, okay, more or less. You will have to come to visit me.
I need more Spanish. I can speak some French and some German and lots of Chinese and Japanese, but I never really learned how to speak Spanish. Sorry.
You will have to come to my city, Valencia. That is the home city from paella, that is really popular. So I will invite you to a paella in Valencia, and you will learn a lot of Spanish with some sangria and good wine next to the beach.
Well, I have been to Spain. I did some work there, and this was quite a while ago when I first started the company, and I had dinner, I think in Barcelona, I think, or I can't remember if it was Barcelona or Madrid, I can't remember, and I woke up in Greece. They had a yacht, and I guess we were drinking, and I guess somehow we got onto the yacht, and I woke up in Greece. So that's what I know about Spain. Yes, exactly. It was a fabulous time, and that's where I learned how to put Cuban cigars inside a brandy and then smoke them, and that does a real number on you, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Great.
So I've got a lot of good memories of Spain. Yeah.
So you will have to refresh them.
Yes,
a little
absolutely.
bit of paella. Thank you very much, and see you soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.